Hey, welcome back, everyone. Today, we are going to be talking about starting over in your 30s. This can apply, honestly, to any decade. You can start over in your 40s. You can start over in your 70s. You can do whatever the beep you want to do. That's the beauty of life. So let's get into it. Society says that we're supposed to have everything figured out. The perfect career, a great relationship, maybe even kids. But what if you wake up one day and realize that none of it is working for you? What if you're stuck, you're unhappy, or you just know deep down that you need a fresh start? Like whatever you got going on just ain't working for you and you're ready for a reset. It's scary. There's a lot of pressure to just stay the course. That probably feels safest. But when you just know that there's a need to, I hate to say course correct because your journey is your journey. So who says that what you were doing is wrong per se, but you want a fresh start. And I think that it's frowned upon a lot of times to do it at a certain juncture in your life because you're supposed to have it all together. But starting over in your 30s is not a failure, and it's one of the most powerful moves that you can make. Today, we're going to strip away the cliches. We'll dive into everything: relationships, careers, where you live, and how hitting that reset button can be the best decision you make, even if it's scary as hell. There is psychology behind starting over and why we resist it. Why do we stay stuck? So our brains are wired for comfort, predictability, even if what's familiar is hurting us. So whether that's a dead-end job that you absolutely hate, or you know that there is no potential for advancement, they don't like you, they're not going to promote you, the culture is toxic, you may be crushing it there, but it's just dead end. This is not for you. We hold on because change triggers fear. But the question isn't, what if I fail? It's, what if I stay in this same unhappy situation for another 5 years? Now, that's the real nightmare. Or you look back 60 months from now, and I think that you would be disappointed that you decided not to make a change because you were scared and staying stagnant where you are, knowing that this is not right for you. Another thing, toxic relationships. So imagine you're in a relationship that's more draining than fulfilling. You're afraid to leave because of the history. There's the shared routines. You get comfortable, and the thought of being single again scares you. You're operating from a scarcity mindset. But you ask yourself, is holding on to something broken really worth sacrificing your peace and happiness? Is holding on to something broken worth sacrificing your peace and happiness? So there's a lot of emotional baggage to starting over. It's not just about letting go of the job, the relationship, the old life, the apartment, the condo, the city. It's also about letting go of who you thought you would be by now. So you're grieving the expectations you had for yourself. We all have thoughts of how we envision life to be, where we would be at this particular age, where would we be at this point in our career. But as we all know, and I can probably be the poster child for this, life be lifing, and life will knock you on your face. Life will punch you in your throat, spit on you, and kick you in your ass. I am sorry. I'm doing a little extra with this cursing. My apologies. But yes, let's take the scenario of switching careers in your 30s. Let's say you've been climbing that corporate ladder for a decade, probably more, but deep down, you hate what you do. The thought of starting over in a new industry feels terrifying. But if you're miserable now, imagine how much worse it's going to be in your 40s, in your 50s, and beyond. Because nowadays it seems like people, unless you win Powerball or really hit it big with an entrepreneurial venture or get lucky with the crazy bonus or your investment returns, we're going to be working a little bit longer than we expected. So taking that risk, even if it means starting from scratch, could lead to a career you actually enjoy waking up for. I remember there was this quote that I came across that said, and I know I'm messing this up, but something about we take vacations to escape this life to come back to that we can't stand. I'm saying that all wrong, but wouldn't it feel good to actually enjoy the work that you do? I mean, work is always work. I'm a business owner. I'm an entrepreneur. So it's a hell of a lot of work, and work is work. But when I'm working on projects and I'm working on with clients who I genuinely enjoy, I don't get the Sunday scaries the way that I used to, because I'm looking forward to this project. I'm looking forward to solving this problem. And I actually don't hate what I'm doing and the people who I'm doing it for. So that feels amazing. And then there's the psychological perspective. So according to studies in behavioral psychology, the biggest barrier to starting over is the sunk cost fallacy. So that basically means you think because you've invested so much time, so much energy, so much money, that you need to stick around because you want some return on all that you've invested, whatever it is, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a city, an organization. But clinging on to something just because you've spent months or years is a trap. That doesn't make any sense. It's better to cut your losses and invest in what truly aligns with who you are now or who you want to be. If this is not in alignment with where you see your life path going, or you becoming the best version of yourself, I don't care how large or deep the sunk cost is, like what are you doing? And now I want to talk about embracing the messiness of the unknown. Now, this is something that as a high functioning anxious person is really uncomfortable for me. Trusting the uncertainty. I'm not going to lie. It's scary, it's messy, it's awkward, and it can be very lonely. You might lose friends, you might doubt yourself, you'll probably question if you're making the right choice, but the messiness is part of the process. So let's just say you decide to pack up your stuff, you're moving to a new city where you barely know anyone or you don't know anyone at all. It is scary as hell. I don't care how confident you are, what your age is, how well traveled you are. That's something scary, taking that leap. You're starting from scratch. New social circles are no social circle at all. It's new everything. But that's where the growth happens. The discomfort is where you find out who you really are and what you're really capable of. And what do you really want? If you stay stationary or stagnant, especially in a situation or in a place that you don't really feel fulfilled or you don't feel like is moving you in the direction that you're trying to go, how will you ever even know if that next move is a mistake or not? Like, you have to take that leap. And you never know. Like I said, growth happens in discomfort. I know that's said so much. We see so many of these memes and quotes all over the internet, but it's really true. Like, whether we're talking about in the gym when you're lifting weights and the muscle fibers are tearing, that's uncomfortable. The buildup of the lactic acid, that's uncomfortable. But that's the only way for the muscle to grow. And the same thing with any other aspect of your life. You have to feel uncomfortable to grow. And if you're not willing to take that risk, then you can't really complain that you stay stagnant and always have to wonder what if. So you might find yourself Googling how to make friends in your 30s, but eventually you do find your rhythm, and suddenly that terrifying leap starts to feel like the best decision that you've ever made. So there is beauty in starting over in different phases and areas of your life. In terms of relationships, starting over in love isn't about giving up, it's about leveling up. Maybe you've been stuck in a situationship or a toxic dynamic that's draining your energy and is not going anywhere close to where you envision your life going. So breaking free and demanding more for yourself is the ultimate glow up. Now let's talk about switching careers. Whether you're switching industries, you're going back to school, you're launching that side hustle full time, you're starting over in your career, that can feel like you're too late. I'm supposed to have it all together. But trust me, you're on the right path and you're right on time. There is no expiration date on following what lights you up. I promise you that. And then, something that we haven't hit upon yet, just health and wellness. So what if you didn't start your fitness journey in your teens, if you never played a sport before, if you don't have an athletic bone in your body, if you weren't looking like an IG baddie in your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s, or your 50s, is still the perfect time for taking control of your health, mentally, emotionally, physically. So maybe it's finally time to go to therapy, prioritizing your mental health, getting serious about your fitness, because it's not just about aesthetics anymore. It's about longevity. Like, this is actually about survival. When I see so many and know so many young people my age and younger, expiring or passing away, it's wild. So we can't predict the future or control everything, but we can try to do things that will increase our probability of a healthy and sound mind and body. And let's talk about changing your environment. That can be a game changer. We all know that, like if you're having a stressful day or someone sends you some slick email and you want to write back something that will probably get you fired, if you go outside, get some sunshine, take a deep breath, get some fresh air, it completely changes everything. At least it does for me. So changing your environment, whether it's a new city, a new state, a new country, maybe you need a new scene and different energy. Moving is not running away. I don't care what people say. You're not running from anything for the most part. I don't know. We're not fugitives, but it's running towards a new chapter that aligns with who you are today and who you want to be tomorrow. So I'll continue to say it is never too late to start fresh. We have to break the age stereotype. I did another episode about this, and I did an episode about ageism. It's just so prevalent in our society, and it's so easy to get caught up on what should be done by this age or what you should not do at this age. Like, who made up these rules? You have to live for yourself. Who says your 30s are too late to pivot? Who says your 40s are too late to pivot? I have always believed that you don't hit your stride in your career until you get in your 40s. You're just getting your feet wet. Whenever I read anything or I'm watching CNBC or reading the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times or any publication and I see any CEO or executive in their 50s, literally, and I'm not just saying this to make myself feel better, in her 30s, but if I see someone in their 50s, I'm like, oh, wow, this person is really young. And it inspires and encourages me to be like, you know what? I don't care what TikTok and Instagram and Facebook says. There is so much more life to live. You're still young. You're in your prime at that point. You've had enough time to make mistakes. I'm constantly making mistakes. So there's always areas for mistakes, but you got to break that stereotype that it's too late to do something when you hit a certain age. Says who? So I believe that your 30s are about refining what you've learned, unlearning the BS, and creating a life that makes sense for you. Not what looks good on paper, not what you think that you should be doing or who you should be with or what groups you should be a part of, who should be your friends or who should be your partner or who you need to marry, but what actually feels good to you. When you're home alone by yourself, what feels good to you and what is best for you? What's the quality and the type of life that you want to live? Try to do things and create experiences that align with that. That is your compass, I believe, in life. And I always say this, you have to be the center of all those decisions. No one else, not your family, not your parents, not your man, not your woman, not your mentor, not the internet, not your friends, you. And sometimes that takes a lot of self-reflection and accountability and just being really, really real with yourself and having some really tough conversations. But it's worth it. So starting over is not a failure, it's a freedom. Starting over is not a failure, it's freedom. It is the ultimate act of self-care and self-respect. Never be afraid to hit that reset button. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. Why are your 30s the sweet spot for reinvention? By your 30s, you've likely been through some stuff. You've been through some stuff. I've been through some stuff. Heartbreaks, career shifts, friendships that didn't last, maybe even failures that felt like the end of the world at that time. But now you've got perspective. You've lived enough to know what you truly want, and more importantly, what you're not willing to put up with anymore. So that clarity makes your 30s the perfect time to reinvent everything. What you thought you wanted in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, you gain just so much more clarity. You're not living in this blissful, ignorant land of innocence. You're in that sweet spot of knowing yourself better than ever. I think it's amazing. If anything, as I knock on my 40s, I'm even more excited about the lessons that I will carry over, the good, the bad, the ugly, to further align with the vision that I have for my life, for what my definition of success is, my definition of peace, my definition of happiness, my definition of legacy. So it just gets better and better. They say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I was trying to come up with something that rhymes with age. It gets even sweeter. I don't know, but you know where I'm trying to get to. Another thing is you've shed people pleasing. Let's be real. When you hit your 30s, you care a whole lot less about what other people think. Now I understand when you talk to your grandparents or your great grandparents or anyone elderly, they legitimately do not give a damn. And that level of liberation, like, I'm jealous. I cannot wait to get to that level where you really don't care. And not in a F you, I'm rude. No, like, I just don't care. And I think every single year, your level of not giving AF increases. You're tired of people pleasing. You're realizing you got to live for yourself. The fear of judgment that held you back in your 20s starts to fade. It's still there. I feel like it's always there, but it starts to fade. And suddenly you're less interested in living your life according to other people's opinions. People might judge you for starting over, but they're not living your life. They're not paying your bills. They're not feeling your unhappiness. They're not feeling your resentment. They're not there crying with you when you're alone. They're not there suffering. So what does their opinion matter? Who cares? Now, I am very much a work in progress in this department because I care or cared. I'm working through it way too much about what other people think. Way too much. Because like I said, they're not living my life. They don't know a fraction of my life stories. They're definitely not paying my bills. And they're not feeling what I'm feeling. So I'm the only one that matters. It's about me, 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 me. Forget about you, 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 you. I can't sing, but shout out to Maya. So yes, their judgment says more about them than it does about you. And then there's the freedom to choose your own narrative. We all know that societal timeline, get married by 30, have the perfect career by 35, start a family, own a home, have it all figured out. I just think it's outdated. Or it may not have worked out. Would I have loved to be married by now, have the perfect career or the perfect business, have my family, have it all figured out? Abso-freaking-lutely. Did it work out like that? Abso-freaking-lutely not. Does that mean for the rest of my life, I'm going to sulk and be like, oh my God, I did not hit these milestones by this timeline. Woe is me. My life sucks. I have had some really bad, dark days, and I have said all that. So I ain't trying to act like I'm this, person who's immune to depression or dark days and feeling really down. I am not, but I am thankful for my therapist. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my village and my support system who has helped to uplift me and remind me of all of the things that hopefully I'm reminding you of too. So your 30s are the best time to throw out the rule book and start writing a narrative that makes sense for you. You get to decide what success looks like for you, whether it's quitting that corporate job to travel, ending a relationship that's run its course, or moving to a new city where nobody knows your name, whether that's good or bad. Your 30s are all about reclaiming your power to define what a fulfilling life looks like on your terms. And like I said before, yes, the judgment is real. Let's not sugarcoat it. People might judge you when you choose to start over. They might think you're making a mistake or that you're running away from something. You'll hear things like, you're too old to be switching careers, or you're going to leave that good job for blah, 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 or you're going to take that risk. You're still single at 35. But here's what nobody tells you. Most of those people are projecting their own fears and insecurities onto you. They're stuck in their comfort zone, and seeing someone take bold risks shakes up their reality. So let them judge in their misery. They're not the ones waking up in your shoes every day. And even if they are happy, let them judge, because why? You gotta live for you. Do what's best for you. Here's the truth. Most people are just winging it. They don't know what the hell they're doing. I'm talking about the most senior corporate successful looking person who is leading the, top of the top at Goldman or in government. I don't care what. They don't know what. They winging it too. Trust me. I have met presidents. I've met world-class Hall of Fame athletes, celebrities, teachers, engineers, accountants, entertainers, everybody is winging it. From the most successful people who seem to have it all together to those who look like, yeah, you do look like you ain't got your shit together. You right. But I mean, everybody's still winging it. So even if they look like they have it together on Instagram, the more you realize that everyone is just trying to make the best out of what they've got, the less pressure you'll feel to stick to some perfect plan. Perfection does not exist. As a self-proclaimed recovering perfectionist, I can tell you, I was chasing something that simply does not exist. The stress and the anxiety and the disappointment, it feels so good to shed that. At the end of the day, starting over, that's a flex. It's a sign that you're not afraid to make bold moves to create a life that feels true to you. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who's been hesitating to make that big change. This is their sign. This is your sign, I hope. And remember, it's your story. Rewrite it as many times as you damn well please, unapologetically. I will see you next week. Bye.